Sims, let's go.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with a gentleman named Mr. Matt Tack. So stay tuned.
It's a miracle, baby. Shout to Miracle Sims, let's go.
Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. I'm here with Mr. Matt Tack. How you doing?
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking with you, Miracle. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to have you here as well. Yes, welcome to the GSL Talk Show. Your first time here.
First time.
Yes.
Hopefully many more.
Yeah, you're always welcome to come on back. But so tell us where you're from and then a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, right now I live in Tampa, Florida, but I can't ever forget I was born and raised in southeastern Michigan. That's my true home. But we're here in Florida, and it is hot as hot can be. I think it was about 97 yesterday.
Wow.
So that's what we're dealing with. But I love the heat. And then what I do for a living is we focus on just health and wellness. So we have a clinic here in Tampa Bay. Which we feel we're God's hands and God's feet. And so we mainly have chiropractic care, and then we have long-term preventative care as well. So we have some soft wave technology in there. We have infrared saunas and cold plunges. And then we focus on just total body optimization. So we want you to live your healthiest and your wealthiest, but we just want you to protect the God's kingdom that he's given you. So that's our mission.
Nice, good stuff. Awesome. It sounds like a lot of good stuff to get into.
Yeah.
I lived in Florida for about 5 years. Well, we would always travel down there because I'm from Georgia and whatnot. And but yeah, I got a chance to live down there on my own, my single days and whatnot. And I think one of the misconceptions is this idea that it doesn't get cold down there. I'm like, no, yeah, they still have all the weather too.
It gets cold there, like January, February time frame. It gets chilly, it'll dip down into the 30s every once in a while. You do got to put on a jacket. I remember a few years ago, I went outside and I had like a snowboarding jacket around me. So it definitely gets cold.
Yeah, and it's so weird too, because then it's like one day it'll be hot, you got your sandals on, the next day it's go. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So yeah, just because he's down there in that warm weather don't mean.
That's right. You know what? I think that I'll be honest. I don't think that Florida has the best weather. We always think the sunshine state. I truly think that those middle tier states, that Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, have the best weather. I think they operate in like those seasons where you get a perfect mixture of like spring and fall, and then you get a little bit taste of winter, but it's not like overbearing. So
Yeah.
I tend to lean towards those states in terms of my preference in terms of like just overall climate. I think Florida, it probably does stay a little hot, a little too long. That's what scares most people off, is those July, August, September days. They're pretty hot.
Oh yeah. Don't get us started talking about weather, because then they were like, oh, global warming. Then we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I do remember like growing up and it, really, like you said, feeling the seasons and whatnot. Lately, I mean, well, Georgia has always been one of those places where they say it's snowing, but it's really just a little ice on the ground. So I'm like, that's not. I mean, it's snow, but it's not. I think those northern places, maybe hear what you're saying, that they know what snow is up there.
Oh, hands down, Michigan was a little too cold for me. That's why we only go up there in the summertime.
Okay. Oh, in the summertime. Like,
What
so
is
it's the opposite for you, right? So other people go to Florida for summer, you go up north for summer.
We call ourselves reverse snowbirds. So we'll go up there in the summertime, and then we'll hang out down here in the wintertime. So that's what it's about.
Nice.
We need to get more people to catch on.
There you go. Look, nothing wrong with that. So I
That's
was
right.
gonna say, like, yeah. So tell us about look Matt Tack when he was little or something like that. Like, look, let us get to know you, and what got you to the place where you are today.
Yeah, Matt Tech, when he was little, I'm pretty sure he had always had a basketball in his hands. I don't think anyone doesn't know me without a basketball in my hands when I was little. My dad's actually been a coach, I think, for 40 some odd years. And I was a bad little kid. Uh, so I tell people this story. I don't think I knew my first name from my grandma until I was about 12 because she called me little shit all the time.
Oh no!
so so I just always had a basketball in my hand. My mom wanted me to get me out of the house. I was with him quite a bit. I was just
Mhm.
in the gym. So even today, I just love the game of basketball. I think it's a beautiful game. So growing up, though, I come from some amazing parents. They really showed me what marriage should look like. It should be really hard, but you should lean into each other quite often. So they've just leaned into each other. They've just had a marriage for, like I said, I think they've been married for a little over 30 years now,
Mm.
and so they just gave me a good outlook and perspective on what marriage can be, and what that the complementary of a man and a woman within an ecosystem, and building out and cultivating the souls of my three other siblings. So I come from four kids. I have an older sister. She's one of my best friends. She's amazing.
Mm.
And then I have a brother. He lives in London now, but he's just an awesome individual. And then I have a younger sister. So growing up with four kids in a 1,200 square foot house, definitely very, probably I'd say borderline, maybe low income, middle income family, that just, that just instilled values early on in my life that I've really held to those values. I think that my dad, one thing that I reflect on really his life is just from a man's perspective is making a good name, and how are we making our name that good name. And so my dad's had a really, really good name. My dad was a high school teacher, so he just retired a few years ago. And my mom was a reading specialist, so she was working with kids that just were underperforming, and gave them the ability to just read. And it was just so rewarding for her. So she did 30 years of that in the school systems. And she just recently retired. So growing up, it was literally sports driven. But then it was this emphasis of, I look back and I would always go to AAU tournaments, but my dad would never let me play on Sundays. And I'm like, Dad, I want to play. I want to play a basketball on Sundays. And he's like, no, my name's better, and this is what we're doing. I'm taking our entire family to church, and you're
Mm.
gonna miss your tournament. And a lot of times we're in the championship game. I'm like, I'm one of the better players, and
Mm.
but it was just something that he instilled very early on, that there's things that are non-negotiables that I'm going to set as precedence over everything else, and that includes sport. And sport was really, really big in our family. I was a multi-sport athlete growing up, and sport was just it was absolutely everything. It was everything to me, and it became my identity. And then it wasn't really until my early 20s that I realized that was my identity. It was sport, and when I no longer had sport, I had to really think, all right, well, what is my identity then?
Mm.
And that just led me to just having not my spiritual identity be focused on what my parents kind of like taught me, even though they set the foundation right. But I had to remove myself of that identity of sport, going through a season of depression, and really seeing on the other side of that what it actually means to have an identity in Christ, really. So
Mm.
for me, that was growing up, though. Had an amazing childhood, I would say. I didn't get to do all the things, but I got to do a lot of things, and family was really important.
Awesome, man. I can see why you say you blessed beyond measure. You said that when we first got on, and I mean, in such a household and things of that nature. I know we talk about that type of thing here on the GSL Talk Show a lot, where we're talking about how important it is to instill things in our children, and for us to have had that as well. And then unfortunately, we know that everybody doesn't have that blessing of the two-parent household and the values and all the things you just mentioned. So For those of us that are getting started in the game, I know I have a 5-year-old right now, and other people that, maybe you're not married yet or things of that nature. If you're listening to this, right, I mean, here's another example of the importance of that household, and that, obviously that father, right, being, the steward over the family, taking the family to the church and all these different type of things. I know all of this stuff is under attack. And, so again, just that can get difficult as well when like you said, you didn't know what your identity was at some point, when you didn't have what you thought, like the sports and basketball and things like that, to I guess fall back on, which I don't know if you want to tell us what happened with that, but even so, it's amazing, and it's a good thing that you were able to I guess pretty much discern that, hey, at some point it seemed like you started to focus. And so I would love to hear more about that as well. Like, what was that journey like, and then how did you get out of the depression, and how did you, did you automatically know that, oh, it's that Jesus thing that my family instilled in me, or was it like another process for you to then come back to Christ? Like, I think it's always just good to hear people's journey, and so people can know, if anybody that's going through a similar thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, any one of those things you want to expand upon, I'm open.
For sure, for sure. If you could edit this out, we're having a technical difficulty. 1 second.
Vanessa has the podcast studio reserved at 11:30, from 11:30
Well, I'll be
to
done.
1:30. Okay, we just wanted to let you know.
All right. Sorry about that. All right.
Okay.
Back in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I noticed that something. See, I feel like, and I don't know if we're gonna edit it out or not, but here it is.
Oh,
Well, I mean, we can. I mean, but it's a thing. But anyway,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. No, I was gonna say, I feel like the enemy be trying to, like, when conversations getting real good, then stuff be
Yeah.
trying to mess up,
Yes.
So stuff be on. I don't know if it be on my end, just the waves or whatever it is, but I maybe the conversation is getting too good right now. We're talking about, households and families and instilling stuff in their kids, and it's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. But anyway,
For sure. Well, I can build into your question. I mean, that question is so imperative in terms of like my journey and what I had to go through, because that my dad did set a foundation. He set a critical foundation in my household, but then I had to learn that for myself. And so I really had to like lean on, you know, I leaned on definitely their spiritual identity and spiritual beliefs. But then I had to see that for myself. And so in this season of depression, what I exactly went through was this transitionary period of I had to like literally release of like pretty much like just all the baggage, like thinking that my best days were behind me when actually they were ahead of me. But that was the transitionary period in my identity in Christ. And so how did that happen though? And it really happened at a critical phase of when I like really came in humility before myself. And I decided that I was like, I'm going to go into this Celebrate Recovery program. And I share this with a lot of people because I went into the Celebrate Recovery program and it was like a small group setup. But I was like, you know what? I am going to just relinquish like, my mindset to you. And by the way, I had just gotten married too. So I had just gotten married to my wife. And I really like, I wasn't in a good mindset for that season as how I was going to like double down into marriage. And so I went into this thinking in terms of how like my mindset was going to be like reshifted. I was going to flip the script. And so when I went into this, I like really had to like kind of flesh out a lot of the baggage that I was holding on to and to recreate the story of where things were headed. And so, and that really came down to the heart of gratitude. It came back like, how quickly can I always come back to the heart of gratitude? And that was through my oral speech of how I was talking to myself and my wife. So what I would do on a daily basis, I'm really tactical. And so on a daily basis, what I would do is literally I would wake up and I would say a prayer, and then I would encourage my wife with something positive. Like I would put something in her life that was positive.
Hmm.
And so whether I like actually believed it at the time or not, can't tell you I did, but like I would put something out there that was positive to her, that was like going to be trending of how I wanted the day to go, right?
Mhm.
And so that was a big focus point for me, and that has ultimately compounded through the rest of my life is what can I project in the first couple minutes of the day, 5-10 minutes, that are going to project a level of positivity where I want the outcome to be. And so I always like, of course, I wanted my marriage to be successful. I wanted to, but I knew there were going to be hills and valleys in that process. And one of the most important things is I could get ahead of the game with doing something positive. If she cleaned the dishes, if I cleaned the house, or whatever it is, like I was doing it for somebody else that was outside of myself, whether it was her, whether it was Christ, whether it was anything. And then it like got me back to the heart of gratitude. Now, I still struggle with that, right? But I try to shorten that gap in terms of promoting that level of positivity that gets me back to the heart of gratitude and centeredness that is going to be taking me in the direction I want the outcome to be.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good. I am curious. So what was it that made you feel like, okay, I know you said you were depressed, and you were dealing with depression and things of
Mhm.
that nature. So you, so you were dealing with that and you were like, no, I'm gonna go check into this,
So
group,
very
small group situation. Like, was that an automatic thing, or was it like time to say, okay, I need to do this? Because, for example, I know I had a friend that, it seemed like after some years of going through whatever she was going through, then she's like, I'm going to go to rehab, or I'm going to go to that type of thing. I haven't had to do that to that capacity, but I mean, this year, I mean, it's something, or well, whenever this comes out, I know right now I've been doing like therapy and things of that nature, because I'm like, you know what, hey, at the end of the day, I'm making observations that, I see what I don't want to be. I see, that I want to, work more on me, the things I'm thinking, all these different types of stuff. So if this is going to help me and I got access or whatever the case may be, let me go do this thing. So, I mean, I get it that sometimes, again, you do need to go and make that decision to go somewhere or get therapy or join the small group or whatever it is. So I'm just curious, like, what was that like for you? Was it like an automatic, like, I know I need to do this thing. This is the thing I need to do, or was it like something you kind of learned and then said, oh, this might be good for me to try to help with my depression and things that I'm going through?
Yeah, it was definitely a process,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're in a negative mindset and then you're spiraling that down, like usually it's I go in, I continue in that direction, and then it's the one thought, and then it's action behind that thought that's ultimately going to propel something in the other direction. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it's a process of shortening the gap. So you're naturally going to go back to that state, but you got to shorten the gap to get back to centeredness. And I felt like the only way, and this is why I'm such a big believer in community and even what you're doing, is to be responsive to that, and then ultimately cultivate a community that's going to respond the same way. And so,
Mm-hmm.
no, it wasn't that like shining moment of like, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It was like in that moment of desperation, I'm like, I do have to figure something else out. And if I want to get to the point where like I want things where I want things to be, I have to take some level of action. Action is necessary for everything that you're going to be that compounding component in life. So then
Mm-hmm.
what's that action? And so the action for me was to go into that, to feed into myself. And then it was the first time I actually got into reading. Like that was the first 26 years old. I always said I hated books and I didn't like reading, right? But then again, that was capturing my thoughts and my attention to be like, oh, well, how can I get better at it? And then ultimately books have completely changed my life, because I'm like, I open a book and I'm like, wow, they took the time to write this. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the most amazing things but it was an action on the outset of it that ultimately propelled things of the direction I wanted things to go. But it was a course of time. And then, ultimately I hit that where, hey, I need to move on this.
Mm. But that was that. Would you say that moment was like rock bottom, or would you say that moment you didn't make it there? Like you was able to like somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Because it seems like some people have to like they gotta hit rock bottom before they make the move. And but then, for example, my mom always raised us to, hey, learn from other people's mistakes and things of that nature. And So it's just like these two different types of people, but at the same time, there are people in the middle as well that are like, okay, I see this going down a path, so I don't want to get to rock bottom, so let me do something. And like, I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like with the observations I made, I'm like, yeah, I got access to therapy. Let me go and do something before it gets to be to a place that I don't want, or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Can you help the people that, I mean, I don't know. Was it rock bottom? That's the one question. And then two, if it wasn't, or if it was, can we help those people that to avoid rock bottom? Like, can we give some type of wisdom that you
For
have
sure.
bestowed upon? Yeah.
Rock bottom, I always say everyone's rock bottom is going to look a lot different, right? Some have like near death experiences, overdoses, whatever it might be. I've had friends that even, tried to kill themselves, right? That's like close to, that as rock bottom you're going to get.
Right.
And then I wasn't in at that arena. I wasn't, contemplating death. I wasn't contemplating any of those things. And so, but I would say it was my rock bottom. And so we have to internalize what's our own rock bottom, right? And so like, I just knew that like, just like the energy of my body was just completely deflated. And I wasn't just like I would say I wasn't like my best and most optimal human. And so I had to think of it as like, yeah, that was my rock bottom. And it wasn't, and then I like looked at it as like, this is not the way I want to live, right? The remainder of my days, if I have, tomorrow to survive, I want to do something that's better. I don't want to do something that's worse than this. And so we just have to evaluate what is it that the rock bottom is going to be for us. And that is a choice too, as far as what rock bottom looks like to us. And then it's the narrative of when we choose to like, push the ball in the other direction. And so that was the one step that I took that I saw my rock bottom. Hey, this is going to be my rock bottom, and I'm going to push the ball in the other direction, which is going to be uphill, and it's going to be very uncomfortable. But I'm gonna make sure that it's a snowball effect on the other side when it rolls down, right?
Yeah. Man, that was a question I had, but now I'm like, that was so good. I'm trying to think what I was gonna ask you. No, well, I'm glad that it was your rock bottom, but it wasn't like the worst of the worst, which you said some of those ways that it could look like. And so, that brings me, I guess, back to the thing. So some people may be wondering, well, what does Jesus got to do with that? Because then y'all out here and y'all be talking about that, he talking about his identity in Christ, X, Y, and Z, da 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 da. Like, and people like to say that, and they're like, Jesus don't have nothing to do with that situation or whatever the case may be. So, what part did Christ play in your journey?
Yeah, Christ, a massive part, obviously, because in Celebrate Recovery, that's more Christ centered, right? It's like an AA, but Christ centered. And with that, it was the first time that I read a Bible in my entire life. And so it had a bunch of narratives and stories, which was really good. And I believe, my date, I guess you could say, was October 6th, 1998. But my true deliverance date was like that day, I feel like, in terms of like what it means to abide in Christ, like on a daily basis. And so that was one thing that I was like, the outward reflection of me, again, protecting my name. Like what decisions am I making today to make a good name, right? And so that then led into all areas of life, not just my home life, not just my personal life, but my business life as well. And so in the conversations I have, it's not all like, hey, do I need to lead you to Christ? No, that's not the point there, but it's am I leaving you with an energy that is like more optimal, that you felt like you were a better person because you met me? And that's ultimately with the impact that I try to create in terms of like just overall value for people, and then how I want to leave people in my life, right? I want to leave them with encouragement and positivity of whatever it is. Like you can encourage them on how they look, on how they approach. Like you have some great energy and you got a great smile, Miracle. So you're obviously doing some amazing things in this world. So it's like what you leave people with ultimately, even if you met them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or if you build a long-term relationship with them, how are you leaving them, right? How are you being centered in that approach? And so really that is what my controllables are. I take it back to kind of this emphasis on my home life, is protecting the peace of my household, which is number one, how I'm treating my wife. But then that's a direct indication of how I'm modeling things to my kids. So I have an 8, 6, and 4-year-old girls, and how am I modeling that to them so that they see what my 4 walls look like, right? What a tack looks like. And so we have a mission statement, vision, and core values within our family. If you walk in for our front door, our core values are right there. And one of the things that I have to remind them often is we choose happiness every day. And so that's a choice. And so how are we choosing that every day?
That's good. That's good. I was going to ask, like, how's married life and whatnot, because obviously you're on this journey of growth and things of that nature. And you said you were married before you went to the group and things of that nature as well. So, I mean, I know your wife isn't here to speak for herself, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe she's told you like, hey, maybe you before, Matt Tack before versus Matt Tack after. I don't know, like, what she would say or what her observation of you could have been. But I would love to hear like how that is going and how. It sounds like it's going great. You guys have mission values and whatnot. Like, I think that's all the main.
That just provides parameters and structures, right? So like if we had to go back to something, like I run my businesses the very same way, but like if I had to go back to something, all right, am I choosing that, right? Like what is it? What does our household look like? So that's a big focus. In terms of what Matt Tack was like, I'll tell you what, he wasn't very friendly. I like aggression, anger, like came out way more than it does now, right? It still comes out. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I still deal with emotions. But then also it's on the flip side of that, what happens more often. And she would tell you that she experiences love more often. She experiences happiness and joy more often because I can be the dictator of that. And really in a society which we drive in, I call myself an alpha male, right? But then truly, what does an alpha male look like? And that's allowing my wife to step up and lead sometimes. And so she's the leader of the household when there's things that need to be done. And she takes a full role and I come behind her in that capacity. Sometimes I take the lead. That's what an alpha male looks like in a household, is that I can let her lead. She can let me lead sometimes. And that's how we just organize and provide that cadence within our household.
Good stuff, man. I was gonna say, how did y'all meet and all that good stuff? But I know you got more technical things to tell us. But if you want to get into that for a moment, we love stories around here,
Yeah. So how we met actually is high school sweethearts. So we were high school sweethearts, and I met her probably my senior year, really, of high school, and then we broke up plenty of times. And then on the outside of that, we reconnected. I think it was roughly around our junior or senior year of college. And that was ultimately that we've been together pretty much ever since. We got married when we were 26, and then started having babies roughly around 30.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, it sounds like you've been an awesome example for your little ladies and everything. So look, these gentlemen coming in their life in the future. They got something to look. I don't know. Like they say, they got big shoes to fill, like, because they got a good example, right, of a father and a husband and all this type of stuff.
Well, two things that I'll leave you with, for every male that's listening into this too, is attention and intention, right? Your attention needs to focus on what's the priorities in your life, and then you need to have intention with that. And so a lot of guys mislead that in their business and their work life or whatever that might be. But protecting the peace of your household should be the attention and intention, and then everything else flows from that.
There you go. Well, speaking of business, man, you told us about your amazing business you have down there in Tampa. You started talking about like infrared saunas and stuff. I think there was one that opened up kind of close to where we are, and I was thinking about going and stuff. So I don't know, convince me to go to the infrared sauna.
I'll tell you what. So we have infrared saunas and cold plunges. But I would say that one of the most important things you can do from a detox perspective is infrared sauna on a weekly basis, getting those toxins out of your body, just sweating, get yourself uncomfortable and hot. From you're operating your cardiovascular system detoxing your gut, just all those things. They're just massive, massive benefits. So if I had to give you one thing as a modality for longevity purposes, is absolutely the infrared sauna.
Man, I was already kind of thinking. Now you said weekly though. I was thinking about maybe monthly. We'll see.
No, get in there
what the
weekly.
Lord do.
25, 30 minutes. That's all you need.
Huh. Now I've been to the type of saunas where they got like the like kind of salt cave vibes. You know, I can't even tell you exactly. It's this place called Jeju up here in Georgia, but I can't tell you much about it. But I know they have like the different ones, but I don't think they're infrared, or are they? I don't know. But
There's
I know there's the one
there's a
that
Swedish and then there's an infrared. We use an infrared in ours.
Mm.
Penetrates 4 inches underneath the epidermis, which is your top layer of skin. And
Mm.
what the infrared does is it allows you just more your cardiovascular system to work. So it heats up your central nervous system, gets your blood moving, and then obviously you're sweating out a lot of the toxin. So I'm a big believer in the infrared. Although all saunas work, you can do the Swedish too. Those get a little hotter. The infrareds go up we operate ours at about 170 degrees.
No, well, I think the ones I've been to is like Korean.
Korean, okay.
Yeah, like one of those Korean saunas. Or at least they're inspired by one, I think. I don't know, but I just know they got the different. They like, oh, this one is the gold room, and this was the salt, and you know what I mean, the cold one. So I don't know if any of those. I've been to that one like maybe 3 times thus far.
Okay.
And each time I felt amazing leaving. You know, I felt like, oh, this is the most wonderful, peaceful experience. You know, but like I said, I know there's a place I think that opened up closer to me. That I noticed that they were advertising like the infrared and whatnot, and which I don't think the other one had, and so I was just wondering like what the difference and you know, that type of thing. So I think you've given me some things to think about. So what got you into your business, right? I mean, I know you got out of basketball and all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
what got you into the health business and opening up your spot and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I partnered up with so my buddy, Dr. Alfred Alessi. He handles pretty much the clinical side of things, and then we have full field labs in there. And then that's just mainly meant as a modality for people to, use on a weekly or monthly basis. I encourage weekly, but there's all different modalities. A big thing is Gary Brecka. Gary Brecka loves. He's a marketer. He loves pushing all new things. I tend to think of like things very tactically. What are small things that you can implement? And the infrared sauna is just something that we're able to add to our user base and to the value to the clients that come into our clinic, because we know the benefits of that. And so that's something we just wanted to add in for them to use and really just ultimately live just a healthier lifestyle. So I still use it for the purposes of so that I can still play basketball, so that I can still play golf, so I still can do these hobbies at a very high level. And so those are some of the things that I incorporate tactically for the purposes of longevity, and also to protect me, right? One of your greatest assets is you. And so ultimately, when you are treating yourself well, you can treat other people well. And so that's how we believe at Full Field, is that you need to treat yourself as the greatest asset of you. That means you can extend your earning years, you can extend your youthful years in terms of like how you can operate on the golf course, on the basketball court, whatever hobbies you wish to pursue. Like, how are you investing in you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I was like, I need to, some more intentional self-care type of things, or stuff like that. I'm like, I need to start incorporating those things in more. I noticed you mentioned this a couple of times. You said a cold plunge. Now I know they had this I guess this ice sauna room in the place that I was telling you about, and I avoided that one because I don't know about being cold, but can you sell us on the ice plunge, or what is a cold plunge? What's going on with that?
The cold plunge, my mentality on that, and I will disagree with Gary Brecka and a lot of other people on this, because of the way I train, and it's ultimately your end goal, like what you're trying to go after. But your end goal, should always be hypertrophy. And so that I want to get more of that. I want to, I focus on a couple different things for longevity purposes, but like my VO2 max, or like what's my max output in terms of my oxidative load. And so what I can breathe in, what I can push out. And so I focus on those things. So for me, I actually cold plunge before I work out. So like I'll do, and I don't do it every time, but I'll usually do that 2 to 3 times a month, I would say per se.
Mm.
Um, get in the cold plunge, get my thermal state as low as possible, which extends my hypertrophy. So I'll do a lot of functional based training, like kettlebell training, and then weightlifting. But that's something I do. I don't do it after what a lot of people do, because a lot of people will jump in the cold plunge like after they've worked out, which actually shortens your hypertrophy window, and it's not extremely beneficial for the purposes of longevity. So cold plunging, whether you do it, if you're going to be doing it after, you need to wait a distance of time, usually like 3 to 4 hours before you get in. But that's not something that I do, like contrast therapy and doing various things, and we do have it at our clinic, but I actually prefer it before a workout, getting myself in an optimal state before I, heat my central nervous system up.
Oh, I don't know if I
It's
like
fun.
being cold.
It's a mindset too, getting
Yeah.
into cold water. We operate ours at 48 degrees, so it's pretty cold.
Woo. It made me think. I don't know what the degrees was, but I saw this advertisement or somebody sharing about I guess they were talking about the Titanic, and they were like, "This is how cold the water was," and they let you put your hand in the cold water, or whatever the degrees was. I knew it. Well, hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind one day. I don't know. But tell us about what all the services that you have at the clinic again?
Yeah, we have chiropractic, we have infrared, soft wave technology, which is more soft tissue or acute type injuries. So a lot of people get those, whether you're playing like pickleball, basketball, or you're sitting down and you got some back pain. We have chiropractic care, we have acupuncture, we have cupping, which I do routinely. And then we have the cold plunge infrared. We also have vibration and cervical correction. We do x-rays. So we do it all. I mean, I believe, hands down the best in Tampa Bay.
Okay. Listen, look, sell yourself, right?
Right.
Sounds cool. I mean, well, so what else have you been up to, Mr. Matt? Is the main thing is just the clinic, or I mean, you got some other stuff going on?
We do coaching on the other side, so it kind of falls within our clinic. So we do the coaching side specifically for men, and 3 things we focus on there: mindset, nutrition. Nutrition is imperative in how we're going to operate on a daily basis, and then muscle for the purposes of longevity. So we want to make sure your body composition matches what you're trying to project out into the world. So we call that full fueled, living full fueled.
Nice. And were you telling me about a show or a podcast or something like that as well?
Yeah, so we have the Full Field podcast, and the Full Field podcast basically operates within pretty much the pillars that we have in our lives. So that's, again, goes back to that mindset, that nutrition, and that muscle. So we talk a lot about that.
Awesome. Well, I mean, hey, I want to open the floor. You can share with us wherever you would like. I mean, definitely shout out how we can get in touch with you, go to your clinic, all that good stuff. And whatever you want to, leave with us today, feel free.
For sure. No, I appreciate you having me on, Miracle. So we have a clinic in Tampa Bay. So if you ever want to check us out, please check us out. That's Alessi Functional Health. You can go to alessifunctionalhealth.com. I'm on Instagram at human.optimizer. You can check me out at Matthew Tack on Facebook. I post there darn near every day. So something of value. Usually, I always believe in the mentality of education plus entertainment equals engagement. So we try to add value as much as possible. And if I could just recommend anything, attention and intention, step into something uncomfortable the first thing you do on a daily basis. So I like entering that world. So usually it's a workout or whatever I'm doing, I want to do something uncomfortable. So when you can go into, when you can treat your body with some level of comfort, usually things get easier throughout the day. So that's my one recommendation that I'll leave with y'all.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you and your time, Mr. Matt. And yeah, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, Miracle. It's a sincere pleasure. I appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing for this world.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show, and thank you to Mr. Matt for joining us tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out Mr. Matt's clinic and the rest of his endeavors. Have a good night.